So, Escape from Tarkov. It's a game not many know about, and even less people actually enjoy it. But between the constant frustration of having to find a specific item and getting headshotted by an NPC from God knows where, it's a pretty fun game. And I am here to talk about it. Let's start off with some basic info about the gameplay. It's a kind of survival slash first person shooter slash battle royale game. You have to get into a match, do shit, and then leave. You can get into a match, or a raid as they say, with one of two characters, your PMC or your Scav. Your PMC is your main character. This is the guy that you made on the customization screen. With your PMC, you can take whatever you want or whatever you need into a raid. But if you die, you lose everything, except for the items that you've put in your secure container. That being a little pouch that you always have with you, so you cannot lose those. However, it does have some interactions with traders, which I will talk about in a second. When you die with your PMC, you will also have to tend to their wounds. That can be either done through a specific trader for a little bit of cash, or with spare medical supplies in your stash. Next to your PMC is your Scav. This guy can save you from complete bankruptcy, as he has done so many times for me. How, you may ask? Well, your Scav is a character that you can take into a raid, and you keep all the loot that you gather with him, and it's free. And if you die, you die. Doesn't matter, no healing costs. However, there is a catch. 1. You can play with your Scav only every so often, so you can't just do back-to-back raids with your Scav. 2. Your weapons and loot you spawn with are always randomized. 3. No secure container. And 4. You spawn late in the raid, so you either have to scavenge for any leftover loot that might be still laying around, or hope that someone left something on a dead body. Now, on all maps, you can bump into other PMCs, Scavs, AI Scavs, and in some places raiders, which are kind of AI Scavs on steroids. In certain places you can also find Scav bosses, which give you pretty good loot but are more difficult to kill. Now, let's see where you can encounter all of that. There are a few maps at your disposal. Most of them you can access straight away, but to access one you have to have a specific item. As I've said, you have to go in, do shit, and leave. Getting in you can do on spawns, and leaving you can do on extract, both of which are fixed points on the map, so you can look up a map online and navigate with it. Now, let me give you a quick rundown of the maps. Let's start at the beginning. Ground Zero. It's the map where you will probably first load in. It's decently big with alright loot, no intricate hallways or weird architecture to remember, perfect for beginners. It's also where you will do your first quests, more on that in a bit. Customs is the next map you'd probably visit. It used to be the beginner map, but since the addition of Ground Zero, that changed. It's a very linear map, which is good and bad at the same time. Good, because it's easy to navigate. Bad, because if you spawn here, you have to go all the way here, and people who spawn here have to go all the way here. So you have a higher chance of bumping into someone. On this map you also start to notice some hotspot locations. Loot-wise, it's pretty alright, nothing too special, but enough to keep you progressing. Factory is the PvP map. It is the smallest, so you're guaranteed to bump into someone, or at least see or hear someone die. There isn't really any real loot here, so as a beginner I'd recommend avoiding it until you can't. Interchange is one of my favorite maps. It's a shopping mall, so loot is very varied, and if you know where to look, you can get some pretty good stuff. It's a bit bigger than the previous maps, but nothing too crazy. Woods, I hate. It's big, it's the forest, and it's a heaven for snipers. I wouldn't recommend coming here for loot because it ain't great. Shoreline, Lighthouse, and Reserve I kind of put together. They're quite similar when it comes to their characteristics. Decently big, decent loot, and all that good stuff. Streets of Tarkov is massive. So massive in fact that there is a separate setting to make it lower resolution, so that your PC doesn't shit itself. It is, however, also one of the best places for loot. almost always you're guaranteed some amazing loot. You do have to memorize a lot of areas or you will get lost. Lastly, labs. It's the map where you have to have an access key card to go in. It has the best loot in the game lying around, but it's really late game map. A lot of high level players with kitted out loadouts run around there, so I would recommend staying away from that place as a beginner. Okay, great. You went to do a raid and you got some loot. What now? Well, now you go to the traders. With traders, you can pick up quests, sell your stuff, and buy gear. Each trader has a kind of niche. Therapist, for example, has medical supplies and Jaeger has hunting supplies. Now, let me tell you why you should do quests. With each completed quest, you gain XP, rep, and a reward from the trader, such as money or an item. Now let me tell you why rep is so important. Rep is kind of your standing with a specific trader. The more rep, the better gear you can buy. To level up a trader and gain access to that better gear, you also have to spend a certain amount of cash in their shop and be a certain level. Except for Fence. He's kind of like the Scav King. High rep with him means that your Scav will have better loot at spawn, and max rep, you're even safe from bosses. Only as a Scav though. One of the traders, Jaeger, you even have to unlock through a quest you get. So don't worry if you can't access them straight away. Now, remember that I said that secure containers have some interaction with traders. That's because if you get a quest where you have to find and hand over a specific item, you have to find it in raid and extract with it. If you put it in your container and die, you won't be able to hand it in. You can see whether an item is good to turn in if there is a little check mark in the lower left corner of the item frame. For other quests, you can plant an item that the trader gave you, kill a player on a specific map in a specific way or with a specific weapon time, kill scavs, or just visit a location. Another thing you can do with traders is insurance. Let's say that you have a kit that you've been working for and you want to take it in a raid, but you don't want to lose it. Well, before loading into a raid, you get the option to insure some or all of your gear. Insuring gives you a chance to get back the items that you lost. I say you get a chance because it's not really guaranteed. If you die and no one picks up the insured piece of gear, you get it back in a few days. But if someone takes it, however, it's lost. It's not free though either. The better the loot, the higher the cost of insuring that gear.
Okay, I've yapped enough about the technicalities. Now I'll tell you what you can encounter.
So, let's start off with something exciting. Guns. There are a lot of guns in Tarkov, and I mean a lot. The choice is yours to pick what weapon you take into raid. Close range, far range, no range, all up to you. You do have to find or buy the weapon first, I should add. Not only can you choose the weapon, but also the modifications you put on them. And let me tell you, Tarkov's weapon modding is one of the best I've seen in games when it comes to options. Want a high magnification scope on an SMG? You got it. Want to make people see the sun? You got it. It's amazing what kind of fun and wacky builds people can come up with. Okay, great. You modded your gun and you're in raid. But oh no, you have no ammo. Yeah, you have to take ammo as well. Each gun has one or sometimes two types of ammo that work on them. So please make sure you're taking the right one. Otherwise, you'll be stranded in a raid with no way of fighting back when someone attacks you. But fighting on an empty stomach isn't great either. That's why there's food and drinks in the game. Take food and sometimes drink with you in a raid. On most maps you can easily find something to eat if you forget, but don't rely on it. If you're starving, your movement becomes slow, your stamina doesn't regen, and your health starts dropping. If you're dehydrated, your vision becomes blurry and your hands start to shake. And your health starts to drop. All in all, not a fun time. So stay well fed and stay hydrated. In real life too, go drink something. Alright, now that we're hydrated and well fed, let's see how you can patch yourself up. Tarkov has a very interesting way of dealing with wounds. There are a lot of medical supplies that you can buy or find. All are good to tend to a specific wound. There's light bleeds, heavy bleeds, fractures, concussions, and even a poison effect. So memorize what you have to use on what wound. It will save your life. But let's say you didn't manage to heal yourself.
No worries, it's not that bad. Each body part has a separate health bar. You only die when your head, thorax, or main health bar drops to 0. If your limbs or stomach reach 0, they become black. You're still able to fix bleeds and fractures, but you will have a major debuff. Until you use a surgical kit on them. They can repair blacked out limbs and restore some of the HP of that part, excluding head and thorax of course, so that the debuff goes away.
Scav runs look similar to PMC runs, but they're shorter since you spawn late in the raid. When you're in a Scav raid, you're safe from other AI Scavs. Once you shoot or kill a Scav, however, all the Scavs on the map will get angry at you, and you will lose fence rep. Lastly, for the in-raid part, are skills. They're basically stats that you can level up just by playing the game. They give you pretty good boosts in stats the higher level they are. For example, a higher weight cap or more stamina. When you max out a skill, you even get a special perk that makes your life 10 times easier. For example, the weight of the weapon you're carrying not counting. Alright, one more thing. Your hideout. It's kind of your base of operations. It is a bit tucked in under all the other stuff, but it is important nevertheless. You can upgrade your hideout and gain certain boosts, like passive out-of-raid hunger and thirst regeneration. To upgrade your hideout's components, you need money, parts, and trader levels. It is important not to ignore upgrading your hideout, because it can make your experience a lot easier.
Okay, I lied. I will talk about Arena as well. It is a separate game mode that you can buy on top or apart from the main game. It's kind of the result of Call of Duty and Tarkov having a child. Me personally, I don't have the game, but the clips have been provided by a good friend of mine. You have a few presets of kits that you can take into a match, or you can make your own. The goal of the game is to eliminate all the opposing players or capture the points. Be careful though, friendly fire is on. You can even get rubles and GP coins that get transferred to the main game, so you can spend them there.
Alright, that was it. I truly hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
I'm,
You know?
I'm like certain that you have some kind of
No,
brain parasite.
Kartel muzyka.